Assalamu alaikum, family. You're tuned into the Sajdah channel. I'm your host, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. We're a few minutes late this morning because I had a couple little technical difficulties, but we got through it as we always do. Okay, we're going to just chat. I got a few things that I want to share, a few things I want to talk about. So let's get into it. Be a friend, tell a friend, and we'll be right back after these few short commercials. I'm going to take a quick 30-second break. Then we're going to go to the give us time to catch up, right? Quick 30-second break, go to commercial, prayer, and we'll be right back.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. I don't know how this show gonna go today because we got weird energy happening, popping it off, but we're gonna welcome it. See how we can be of service, what we can do. Anything on y'all's minds, put it in the chat. Let me get this chat loaded up here. Okay. All right, y'all. So we don't have a specific topic this morning, but there's a couple things that I want to mention, share, and discuss. A lot of y'all are buzzing about the current administration requesting a list of museums from Dr. Bunch so that his team could review them to make sure that they represent American culture. Now, people since then have repackaged that. Some said that what he said was that it was too much slavery. And then others are now saying he wants to make sure that it's balanced and that it represents the future. Here's the deal. And y'all know I've been saying this since the very beginning. Y'all, the ancestors are busy. And if you can't feel how busy they are, then I'm not even going to say nothing about you. I'm just going to tell you, just take a minute and get quiet. Just take a minute and get quiet. And I think you're going to see how busy the ancestors are because they want their story told. And anybody that's standing in the way of it, I've seen it. I've seen it since I've been working on this project. Anybody standing in the way of the ancestors telling their story is meeting some interesting circumstances that just seem mysterious, just pop up out of anywhere. That's not a threat to anybody. I'm saying that the ancestors are busy, so don't discount what's happening as something that could potentially be for our benefit. Maybe, just maybe, this is a push, a move, a time, and you all know I've been talking about this, for us to support independent museums and preservation efforts. This is not the time for you to pull out your next best scam artist move. It's not the time for that. I think it's a time to shift the wealth. There are many cultures that are earning and making money off of our culture, off of our creativity, things that we do that are born out of our pain, our experience, are now pop cultural assets, IP, trademarks, copyrights. You know, the way we dance, the way we move, our rhythm, when our rhythm, the natural rhythm and vibrational essence that is in our melanin and who we are, when it interacts with certain environments, okay, and interacting with those environments, it depending on what the intention of the mind, it comes out in a way that's unique. The way we dance, the way we move, right? Our vibe, our language. If you notice, each urban area around the country has its own vernacular. We in Chicago, if you talking to somebody from Chicago and they say, well, that's the underlay for the overplay, or if they say that's the woo wop de bam, we know what that means. We don't have to say, wait, hold on a second. What is woo wop de bam? We know that. And there are different things like that around the country in our communities. The vibration of the location, of the experience, of the pain, of our sojourn, when we get ready to move and dance, it creates the combination of the melanin and the rhythm inside of us combined with that vibration creates certain dance moves, certain things that they do. Is a reason why I posted this video the other day where they were talking about people who crip walk. Then they changed it to sea walk. This is what happens with language. They changed it to sea walk. Then people kind of start doing what they call clown walking. I heard Fawn Weaver explaining this. She's from LA, so she would know, right? But when you look at the real crip walk, what you see Snoop and Dub C and all of them doing, that's like the real deal. Then you got the adjusted version of it, which is now out here in pop culture. And so those are just a few examples. If you look at something as simple as pop locking and moonwalking, that was somebody's interpretation of a vibration that they expressed in movement. And now it's around the world. And what I'm saying is that in every boardroom, every meeting around the world, there is some aspect of Black culture that is either being bid on, incorporated in advertising, nomenclature, team names, you name it, down to the way people dress. And so this is an opportunity for us to now own and monetize. But we got to grow up real quick, okay? Because our history is being erased faster than it's being archived. So it's important that we archive our own family histories. It's important that we financially support. And the interesting thing is that now with AI, here's the other piece of it that's actually brilliant when you think about how Allah is doing it. You know, in the past, you've had like people with these social service and nonprofit agencies that they just started because it was quote unquote free money. And so people who had no interest in basketball was like, I'm gonna do a basketball camp, because people start seeing nonprofit as business opportunities. And this is the amateur thing that Black people are doing right now. We have seen that white organizations have been doing this, but that's a whole nother background and story. We talked about that. But for us, we decide, okay, I don't got nothing to do with cooking, but I see this cooking grant. So I'm going to go get this grant and get this quote unquote free money and do this program. And somehow behind the scenes, we think we're going to enrich ourselves by getting this free money. And this is why all over the state of Illinois, you see Black folks going to jail one after another over this nonprofit stuff. You have to study this stuff. You have to know about whatever state you're operating in. What are the rules? Because what we think is, oh, it's 501c3. That's federally tax exempt. But it's your state that regulates how you conduct yourself as that tax exempt, quote unquote, organization in the state. So you want to be very, very careful. But here's what I love about what's happening now and with AI. Before these private organizations give you a grant or money, they're going to look to make sure that you are truly entrenched in the field in which you're asking them for money. I've been on calls all week about this because people want to know if you're the real deal. And here's what they're doing. They realize that a lot of museums, a lot of preservation efforts, a lot of nonprofit programming is housed in buildings and facilities that are not necessarily owned by the organization. So somebody may run a program out of the local YMCA. All they're looking for is, does that person that we want to donate to have operational control of the facility? And then we will give that particular money, because what they're not going to continue to do, and this is what is happening here, and you guys got to listen closely, they're not going to continue to just fund you because you say that this is what you're going to do. They are looking, they use an AI. I just sat in a meeting where a lady did it the other day, and she's from a big international foundation. They use AI to say, okay, this person is requesting funding, and let's say you're requesting funding for veterans. Is the person at least a veteran? Is the person involved in veteran affairs? And AI tells them that. It can give them a rundown. If I say, well, I'm seeking funding for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House Museum, she typed into AI, is this person involved in preservation efforts? What is her history and background in this field? She had like 10 questions. And the reason why she called me and asked me to come meet, because based on those 10 questions that she popped into ChatGPT, it came back and said, yes, this person would be a good candidate to donate to. And so I asked her, I said, okay, so as we move forward, and I still have to go back and put together a proposal, and I got to finish the house and all this other stuff. I said to her, how important is what you learned on ChatGPT to your foundation's ability or desire to donate? She said, because the removal of the federal funds has put us in a position where we want to make sure that everybody that's a part of these nonprofit efforts are really about it. She was a white woman. She used the Masterpiece term, New Orleans term, about it. And I said, I get that. I said, I get that. She said, because what has happened in the past is that people will go out and get these grants, they get these donations, and they have no connection to the cause that they're collecting money for. And so since they have no connection to the cause that they're collecting money for, it's not a sustainable investment for our organization. Because now that those federal dollars and those state dollars are becoming sparse because so many programs at the top have been cut off, individuals and different people who are now making donations are looking to see, is this person really about it? And I don't think that you're going to have to be perfect, but you really got to be about it. So why is this good for us as Black people? Because for so long, there's been so many organizations in our community that really weren't about it. They were getting federal dollars, they're getting state dollars, they're getting foundational dollars. And there are people who might be real estate developers who just said, I'm going to buy this building and put the Boys and Girls Club in there and give me some grants. So you have a lot of theft going on. And so that is a business model that I always caution us as Black people, because usually by the time these scams roll downhill and get to us, they've already been burned up by the white collar corporate structure. And then we jump on board and start doing these things, only to realize that we quickly go to jail like that. We quickly get indicted. Why? Because they already burnt it up. So be very careful when you see these trends, or you have somebody talk to you who's telling you that there are certain things that you should be doing. And then you got people like this lady in this big multi-million-dollar foundation who asked to meet with me, who has this whole litmus test of things that she ran through ChatGPT that you may not pass. And then they may give you the money. So here's the underlay for the overplay. I've seen these large foundations say, okay, we know that our brother, our friend was collecting money because he owns the building that the Boys and Girls Club is in. Okay, this happens all the time. Boys and Girls Club, I won't use them as an example because that's a real company, but let's say a program that caters to African American at-risk youth. Okay, and let's say he don't look like us and he owns the building, and he says, well, since I'm renting or the building out or loaning the building out to these people who are addressing issues with at-risk youth, then as the building owner, I'm going to go and get a grant. I'm going to go and get donations that they never actually give to the at-risk youth organization. Or if they do, it's small. They're saying, well, it's for rent, it's for this, it's for that. And let's say they go out and do it and they know they've done something wrong. There's something bad in their footprint. Then now here come you and I, because now we've gotten wind of this type of business model, and we own another building down the street. And we say, well, okay, I see they got people up here doing at-risk youth. I'm going to do autistic children. So I'm going to open this building up and I'm going to rent it out to an organization that helps autistic children. But those people are Black. So when the Attorney General comes asking questions, they're not going to send them to their friend. They're going to send them to the dummy who just copied this business model without taking any classes, without learning. You ain't even got to take a class today. Just go on ChatGPT and say, what are some of the language rules that I need to know in order to open up this type of facility? What kind of partnerships do I need to look like I have? Now, here's where they made their mistake. Instead of partnering with those organizations, they try to do some slave master stuff and go, well, I own the facility, and so I'm going to get the nonprofit stuff. Well, over here in Chicago, they popping them away left and right. Why? Because these people are just doing this to get money. But now what I'm starting to see is people wanting to have real meetings. I've had a number of requests that are really great requests from amazing organizations, some of which are in our community, some which are not, owned by other communities, where they want to sit down and collaborate and study and go over things and have real substantive meetings in order to determine whether or not you can participate in a program. You can't do this from the keyboard anymore. These people are coming in, they're taking a look, they're auditing. And so now these organizations with these philanthropic pockets, if you will, are saying, okay, we got a problem because the federal government isn't funding anything. It's going to have to go to the private sector. It's going to have to go to the state sector. So I just want to say that to us because I want us to be careful. By the time that business model trickles down to our community, we need to be paying close attention. Don't let nobody as an entrepreneur come to you and say, well, I know this organization, they just got $20 million doing X, Y, Z. And then you say, oh, what's that? Then you start doing it blindly. Usually we're the first ones that end up on American Greed. So I just want to caution us as the economic tides are turning. Because see, the ancestors are speaking. Now we have more sincere people that are in the fields. People who own these facilities where a lot of our rec centers and nonprofit organizations are housed now have to partner with the people that are there at the facility before going and getting funding and just lining their pockets without even making sure that they're giving it to the individual. But understand this, people, that you have to study every industry. Don't let somebody just tell you, oh yeah, you could just do this. People are out here trying to get money. They're trying to scam. They're lying. You got to be very, very mindful. And what I'm noticing, the new scam is people trying to get a quick, everything is $10,000. Everything is, I remember somebody, I had a potential client say, oh, well, not a client, but a potential person that I was looking at to do some services. Like, oh yeah, it's going to be 10,000. Oh yeah, it's going to be 5,000. Like they come up with these round numbers. And so what I do, which is what I've always done, is tell me about the process that you're about to go through if I hire you to do something. And most time, they lie. So sometimes people, when the big lollipop has been taken away, it gives you an opportunity to examine and audit, right, what's really and truly happening. Okay, so utilize AI for that. Utilize YouTube. Go out there and study. You can learn in a weekend what may have taken you 2-3 years to learn, utilizing AI and YouTube. Okay. Here's another thing that we're working on. Sunday, we are replaying our spiritual approach to credit literacy. You saw me with the video on social media. I've posted it. There's a link for you all to go out here and register. It's only $10, but it's very, very important. I'm telling y'all, the playing field is becoming more level, especially because now you're starting to see more Black people to wake up. I was in a meeting yesterday. We had an amazing meeting at Kennedy King College with the Black Chicago Eats Foundation, all of our board. We were all there, and the Black restaurateurs, they showed up and showed out. We met Black farmers, people wanting to collaborate and do business. They want to help us go farm to table. They want to help with the food scarcities that will happen in Illinois or any other state, giving us access to food, to real food. It was a powerful, powerful meeting. And everybody talked about the gatekeepers. And I said, well, this is a way that we get around these gatekeepers. How do we do that? By uniting with one another, by doing business and exchanging business with one another. But I told them, I said, and I'm listening, with my AI brain, and I'm watching all the people that are there. And I said, there's $100 million in this room. We just have to realize. And we have people there who do packaging, product packaging. We have people there with farms, farmland, cows, goats, all kind of fruits and vegetables, you name it, processing things. Like they can once they take a product, once it gets old, they process it and make it a dried good or make it a packaged good. There's so much stuff. And I learned that in that industry, we don't say canning anymore, because canning represents those old World War II cans that are made out of aluminum that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us to stop eating out of and to stop using, because aluminum, those little aluminum particles go in our body, into our bloodstream and into our brain, and they cause Alzheimer's. So if you notice, in the Nation of Islam, we don't cook out of aluminum pots. We don't eat out of aluminum cans. So you can can the process of canning, we should call it preserving in a jar, right? But there was package people there talking about ways in which you can preserve things that are in those bags that are vacuum sealed, got your label on the front, and they travel easier, they ship easier. So the solutions were amazing. And so the idea is to just begin to pull all of that together so that we can create this powerful industry. So we're going to share some more about that. We got some events coming up. Kennedy King College is a jewel. And when I saw all those kitchens and the kitchen square footage that they have, I said, there needs to be a cooking show filmed here in Chicago that can be done right at Kennedy King College. Their kitchens look just as good as Chopped Kitchens or any kitchen on the Food Network. So we need to get busy doing a cooking show, and we got the space for it. Here's another thing that I was reminded of, but I've known this for a while. When you are trying to get like your additional certifications and your schooling, don't forget about city colleges and community colleges. Senator Preston was there yesterday, and he said that his mother is 88 years old, and she just graduated from, I think, one of the community colleges. Why is this important? Because it's always important to go back and learn more information, get new certifications, things like that. But the community colleges and the city colleges are easy way for you to do them. They have a lot of adult students, returning citizens that are coming in, and people are just going there to get their certificate. And when I learned how important these community colleges were was when I was in the consulting world. Because I thought the motivation for white people in the corporate world was to go to a named college, a branded type of college. And a lot of them were going to Malcolm X College, Harold Washington. A lot of people in medicine going to Malcolm X College, taking those difficult classes over the summer that they may be going to Northwestern or Stanford or whatever, Ivy League, but they go over the summer and take these smaller classes in a smaller environment, but they might be a bigger class, and then they just transfer the credits. Or if they've already graduated and they want to get a quick certification, they just go over there to the community college and get the certification. So we have to learn how to do what I call designer education. And I learned that from being around those people in corporate. See, we get stuck because once we get down to the HBCU, we get to partying and kicking it and losing our identity. And then when we come home for the summer, we're not thinking about, man, I'm right here by Malcolm X College or at Kennedy King College. I'm trying to open a restaurant. Let me go over here and learn certain things. If you're a person that owns a restaurant, you should go to one of these community colleges and take classes. That way, you know what your staff is supposed to be doing. You can more properly run your business. Because what happens to a lot of y'all is y'all just go, oh, yeah, I know so-and-so, they making money flipping burgers. And then you think you just going to invest your money, you and your homeboy, y'all start flipping burgers. And the next thing you know, there's a problem. But if you had gone to the community college, maybe 1 or 2 nights a week, I learned real estate at the community college. I had a degree in accounting and finance, but then I went to community college at night and studied real estate. I studied commercial real estate. In the evening, real estate development, urban planning. I would take those classes, certifications in various different things to boost my career. I would do it right either at Malcolm X College or wherever they were. And sometimes the classes was just less than $100 for me to go and get that certification and come back to the office and kick butt with a level of knowledge. Now you can do it. You can do it through the classes. You can do it through AI. You can do it through YouTube. I'm still an avid studier. But before you open these businesses, go to your local community college and take a quick class. We just had that conversation about nonprofit organizations, and I see so many Black people getting themselves in trouble. Take a quick class. Take it online. Go down there in the evening. Sometimes you may be part of a different organization that offers the class. Take a class so that you learn and you know what you're doing. Don't take your lesson from your homeboy or your homegirl who is just hustling themselves, or who really just want to see you get in trouble so that you don't look better than them. Be careful, because there's so many resources that are already out here. But over at Kennedy King College, anybody who's running a restaurant, opening a restaurant, they can help you with your talent pool, your pipeline. They have so many classes. If you're a returning citizen, they have classes specifically in culinary arts for returning citizens. They teach all kind of cuisines. They have one class where all you learn is appetizers, or all you learn is salads. They have classes that teach you how to run the floor of the back of the house or the front of the house of the restaurant, and different techniques. They're making sourdough bread yesterday. Like, how do we make sourdough bread? And so they were learning that. So there's all of these different things that you can go and take these classes for. See, the problem is we want to do it fast. We want to add water and stir. You know, while I've been completing and working to complete the Honorable Elijah Muhammad Museum, I've been studying, taking classes with preservation efforts, having conversations with people, understanding the neighborhood, the zoning in my area. I can see the scam artists coming 1,000 miles away. Not because I'm so special, but because I'm educating myself with the knowledge. And I say, okay, they don't even know what they're talking about or what they're doing. Right? And here's the other thing. The fact that you have AI and all these classes, and even the federal government cutting off some of these programs. While initially it can be really sad for a lot of us, because a lot of us are losing benefits, and we're feeling it in our community. But I want you to think of things like this. People oftentimes discount your intelligence when you don't have money. Or if you're an intelligent, you could be a scientist. And let's say you go to a certain foundation and you're trying to get funding for your research. Now, you're a brilliant scientist. But when people feel like they control the money, they try to discount oftentimes your intelligence. And what's happening now, because as the money is trickling down more into private hands or into local government, the intelligence of the person that knows about the field is now rising in prominence. Why? Because they don't want to give their money anymore to somebody who don't know what they're doing or no connection to the organization, no track record. So now, even to get these grants is not about filling out the grant form or just opening your mouth and asking for a donation. You have to submit to somebody a resume and a background into how and why they should be giving you the money. And some people say, well, that's always been the case. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. There's been this industry of people passing around grants, free money, doing all of this stuff just because that's their friend. That's their homeboy. They're trying to get a tax break. They're trying to write off something. It's a game that we have been sucked into that I think now is getting busted up. And you can see it if you're on the ground with these industries like I am. So here's what I want to tell you. If you got a bag, meaning if you got the money, if you got the purse strings and you're out here trying to do something and you're saying, hey, I want to take advantage of this or that, partner with somebody who is on the ground in the field and knows what they're doing. When I was talking to a sister yesterday and they're talking about Black farmers, she says, I can't represent Black farmers if I don't know what they need. So she travels around and meets with the Black farmers and knows what they need and represents their need. So when she puts her nonprofit organization together, she now knows how to address the needs of the Black farmers because she's done her research. So when she goes and applies and asks for these donations, when she stood up yesterday and talked about working with her, she had a resume that was extremely impressive. And so there's no doubt that she's not going to be able to accomplish her goals because she comes to the table with that plethora of knowledge. What does that mean for us? Those of us that have been in a field for a very long time now have the opportunity to train. If you could say, well, I've been an over-the-road truck driver for 30 years. Well, guess what? Now you can teach workforce development. You can teach people how to do that job. You can teach people who own trucking agencies. You can become a consultant based upon your experience because now people are valuing that. So now with the whole trend in all the states is all about workforce development. Well, guess what? More than likely, you've been working in a field for a very long time that you now can convert into a money-making opportunity. If you've been driving taxis for 30 years, there's a whole consulting business out of you having been a taxi driver. You can train in driving, you can train in customer service, you can train in a whole lot of other things. You just need to get with somebody like me to help you put that together. What have you been doing for most of your life? What job have you had? I guarantee you, you now can create a business out of it, and you can present yourself to a company and say, I can train. Why would you have an advantage? Because that money that now is scarce, you can actually spend it with somebody who knows what your workers need or what your pipeline needs or what's important to your pipeline. I was saying this about Kennedy King College because you got students graduating and you can keep the pipeline in your restaurant going by bringing those people on board, bringing them in for internships. You just have to make the internship so that it's opposite of their hours of operation. So if you got a business that opens at night, a restaurant that's open at night in the evenings, maybe that person can intern 2 or 3 days a week. So there's all these opportunities out here. I'm giving y'all free game. Some of y'all have been in your field working forever. You got a whole consulting business. And you may say, well, my business is nothing. I've just been, I use taxi. I've been a dishwasher. Guess what? There's training and workforce development on how to be a dishwasher. Dishes still got to get washed. The kitchen still got to get clean. So all of those things that are in your wheelhouse, you can do so that when that person gets ready to say, okay, I'm going to donate or I'm going to give you a contract, you got automatically 20, 30 years of experience in a certain particular field. Don't try to jump over there into something where you don't got no experience. You have no track record. You look like a scam artist because people are like, what are you doing? Stay right there where you are. And from where you are, you can branch out. This is somebody's word right here because a lot of y'all I know have been doing certain things. Some of y'all been working at the makeup counter downtown at Macy's for years. And before that, you worked at Marshall Field. And before that, you were at Nordstrom. But you've been there for years. Well, guess what? You are now a consultant for people who want to go into retail makeup sales. You can consult stores and train their staff. You can consult individuals like myself who might say, hey, I want to go into the makeup industry. Well, you can now tell me how the store runs, how the retail gets set up, what's important, when do they start selling holiday stuff. I mean, there's a whole long line of consultation that you can now do, whatever your field is. Whatever field you've been doing, don't think that the 20 years or 30 years or the 10 years or 15 years that you've been working in a particular field, no matter what it is, that it can't be transformed into something that makes money. I tell people who are truckers and been driving trucks, there is a whole consulting world out there for you in the world of transportation, logistics, and distribution. Okay. There's so many things, people even just opening up businesses that you can go and train in. Let's say you've been working in the kitchen in restaurants for years. You can do workforce development. You can train. You can go be a teacher, open up a training program, help people who are opening their businesses and say, well, this is the kind of person you want in your kitchen, or this is the type of way in which the products come in. Some of y'all been in shipping and receiving your whole life. Well, guess what? You are now a consultant. Because if I'm distributing a product, I need somebody that knows shipping and receiving. Either you're going to help me train my staff, help me set up my shipping and receiving, help me get my vendor management and vendor strategy together. You can flip all of that stuff over. This is important because as we begin to age and people have been in fields for a long time, sometimes it's difficult for them to figure out, what do I do now? What can I do? I've been a taxi driver for 40 years. Well, you can do a lot and you know a lot. Not only that, you probably can be a tour guide of the city. So don't discount your experience, especially now in a world where the average time people, it used to be 3 to 5 years that people used to be working at companies. Now it's like 1 to 3. And so not that many people have a lot of experience, but those of you who are in your 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s, you got a lot of experience because you've probably been working in that industry since you graduated from high school or college. Well, now it's time to repackage yourself, put your website up, repackage your resume, and put yourself out there as an advisor, as a consultant in an area that you've been experienced at for so many years. Don't listen to your homeboy and jump off in a whole new field and end up in jail. I'm seeing this happening to people every day. And I'm looking at them like, man, you had a whole industry that you've been a part of for so many years. All it's got to do is be packaged. Some of you all been working for FedEx, UPS, delivering packages for years. Well, guess what? You now can be a consultant because you can train within that industry. Anybody that's new, opening up a business, you can help us with transportation and logistics. You can go to some of these organizations and say, hey, I want to own this organization because for the past 30 years, I've been a manager at FedEx. I started out as a driver. Let me tell y'all a little bit about transportation and logistics. So this is what I wanted to say today is that there's an opportunity to turn your experience, your life into a money-making idea. There's an opportunity for you, let me say it like this, to monetize your experience. It can be done, and you can definitely do it. Some of you, I met a brother that said, I just been, working. I've been selling final call newspapers, doing odd jobs because I went to prison and I'm a felon. It's difficult for me to find a job. I said, brother, you a sales consultant? You a community liaison? You a customer service consultant? You can help train reentry citizens who are re-entering. They got all kind of re-entry programs out here. You can help with that. I said, brother, you are a walking revenue stream. And I saw his eyes just light up. I said, don't ever just reduce yourself as somebody who got out of prison and you kind of just been running from odd job to odd job. But what's been consistent is that you've been selling final call newspaper. And let me tell y'all one last thing before we go. And this may seem uncomfortable for some of y'all. Stop adopting the things that the white man tell y'all is good and then looking down on somebody else because they don't seem to fit that cookie cutter mold. Guess what? You don't either. You don't fit it. Don't look down on this person because they just came home from prison. When we all know, especially in our age group, they was locking people up left and right. Don't look down. I never look down on somebody if they got off on drugs or, I mean, obviously you can't embrace them and give them access to all your stuff, but I don't look down on that. Because let me tell you something. I grew up in the crack epidemic era. At the beginning of it, when they was saying it was cool, it was a cool thing to do. I just so happened to have gone to college. I never been a drug person. And then when I got out of college, I spent most of the 90s and the 2000s working in the Nation of Islam with no access to that stuff. That's why a lot of times 90s music and stuff like that, I have to go back and go, oh, yeah, I kind of remember that song because I wasn't out there for that. But who's to say that my smart, cute butt wouldn't have got out there and got with some dude that turned me out? You never know. It happens all the time. So you can't look down on people. If you was running the streets with somebody, and then all of a sudden now, maybe they don't have as much money, maybe they coming home from prison, and you acting like you better than them, don't do that. Because that very same person, I'm telling you, every experience that you have, you can turn into a business. If you went to jail and now you got home, you come home, you can do some work in workforce development. You can do some work in training people who are re-entering into society. You got a whole consulting, write a book, tell your story, create a movie. And that same person that was looking down on you yesterday because they work in a job every day and they think they all that same person gonna be looking at you going, wow, they making it. They doing good. So don't ever come and discount yourself and your experiences because you fell down, because you made a mistake, you fell on hard times, because don't ever do that. And I'm going to tell y'all, if a person comes to you and they need help, don't dog them, don't look down on them. See, because you don't know what ancestral calling that person is responding to. And when you just dogged them out and you made fun of them and you tried to take advantage of them, you don't know what energy is going to come back your way. And you never know who they're going to be tomorrow. Because if they're smart enough to get themselves in a situation, means that they're a risk taker, means that they're willing to step out on faith. And if it ain't this particular venture, it'll be something else. And then you're going to be looking like the poor person. Be careful how you play people. Be mindful of your character. I talk about this in the book. Be mindful of your character and how you treat people. Because somebody could be here today and you think you here, and then those tides shift real easily, real quickly overnight. It don't take but a second. It really don't take but a second. Whether, and I could go, I won't go into more examples of it, but okay, y'all. Anybody got any questions? Make sure you all sign up for Sunday. I'm going to show the video again. Support the completion of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House Museum. We are cranking along. We got just a few things left. That's a whole nother thing. We're going to do a new show coming up. We're still planning out the viewing of that first episode of the series. So stay tuned to that. For that, we're really close to completing and finishing and figuring that out, how we're going to do it. The main thing is just figuring out, because we want to do it live at the house, but we're going to stream for you guys. So we just have some logistics to work through as far as that is concerned. And yeah, I'll tell y'all more about that when time comes. Okay, so go to hit the super chat button, or you can go to Cash App Sajdah Enterprises to support the movement. Okay, and all the stuff that's happening. And I will see you all, inshallah, tomorrow morning. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I think I got some interesting experiences that are going to happen today that we might be able to share with you. All right. Bring your questions. Y'all know I love doing Q&A. So bring your questions, pop them in the chat. Let's deal with them. Let's talk about them. In the meantime, in between time, like and subscribe, tell a friend about what we're doing, and go out here and register for this amazing webinar. I'm going to show you 2 commercials. Don't go anywhere. And we will see you all, inshallah, tomorrow morning.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who in my judgment is the master historian, taught us that of all our studies, history is the most attractive, and it is best qualified to reward the researcher. History is most attractive. Why should history be most attractive? Because history is the recorded time of the human family in its struggle to overcome obstacles. There is no life that is without struggle. The Holy Quran teaches us that man, meaning man and woman, is made to face difficulties. And after difficulty comes ease. But it is history that guides us through difficulty. For if you know how people who had difficulty yesterday got through, and if your difficulty is somewhat similar, then today we also can get through if we follow the guidance of history. This is why Carter G. Woodson and many of our black giants fought for black people to know our history. Because in not knowing our history, we don't have a guide. And without a guide, we are lost. No wonder the Bible